Hey FaceMakers, welcome back. Something that occurred to me that I think I need to talk about today is at reviewing a few of my past videos. I think that some people might think some of the subject matter is a bit elementary or below their skill level, but it's meant to be that way. One thing about this channel is I wanted to approach everyone across the board, whether you're inexperienced, just kind of wanting to get into this business, or you're in it for years and just want to hear me rattle on. Well, that's another story, but you may get something out of just the smallest little thing that I demonstrate to you or share with you. So if you don't like the content here, it's not enough for you, ask me a question, because that's how this will give you what you want to see. Just like you may be in a room full of people of various experience levels, you can still carry on a conversation. So that's what this channel is about, and I want everyone to feel welcomed here. I don't want anyone to feel like it's below their skill level or above their skill level. So I'm going to cover things on various levels and various, what seems simplistic to some people may be an aha moment for others. So keep checking back, find the thing that works the best for you, but the best way to make this channel grow and to give you what you want is to ask questions, comment, put input. If you have an idea to add to what I've been talking about or showing, throw it in there. I'll share it with our audience. And that's what's important, is make sure that everyone gets something from this channel. I just want everyone to have fun and walk away with a different thought in their head. Beyond that, I think it's important to also address a lot of people who I think want to get into the makeup business per se, and you're just kind of like dipping your toe in the water. I think it's really important for someone who came out to California, wanted to get into the film business, and be a makeup artist, or be a special effects person, or be a sculptor, or be a monster maker, like a lot of people wanted to do. You have to think about longevity. If you want to do this as a career, you have to think about making a stable home for your family. You're not a renegade anymore. At one point, you're providing not only for yourself and your family. I know when I first started out, I was single by myself, me and the dog. It didn't matter if I worked 24 hours a day learning, or looking for work, or working in small shops, or working in my garage, or working in my kitchen, or wherever I happened to be. I had no ties. But once I got married and started a family, every waking moment I thought about the next job, or what I had to do to learn to get better, so I could find better employment. I set up a small shop in my little 2-car garage. I built a room in there that was a kind of a professional looking makeup room. I had a mirror, I had a counter, I had a barber's chair. That's where I would do life casts. I would do makeup tests there. And just outside of that area was a place where I could run foam latex. I built a small oven. I had a workbench. I could sculpt, I could make molds. The garage door swung up. I had plenty of room to spread out. If I needed to work outside, I could build some portable tables. So that's kind of how I existed. And then at one point, I found that I was making enough money that I could rent a space. So I rented a small studio. It was maybe about 1,000 square foot studio, and hung my shingle on the wall and waited for the phone to ring. Well, it didn't ring. I had to bring the work in. So fortunately, I started snooping around. I got a few calls for doing makeup designs, and one of them was large enough that I could actually be paid and work into my budget, the cost of the rent for the studio. To make the prosthetics, I brought in an assistant to help me sculpt and make molds. So I was 4 hands instead of 2 hands. That allowed me to go get supplies or go to a meeting or something and still have work happening in the shop. So that's the way you work your way up. You start off by yourself, or maybe a friend or another colleague who kind of wants to support you, and you work together on things, and eventually you split off and get your own maybe your own clientele, or your own producer or director who likes to use you, or even an actor. It's very different now. I started in the late 70s, 1979, and worked my way into the middle of the 80s, which was kind of crazy. That's the middle of all the slasher movies and all the horror films, so that kind of kept me busy. But as I moved into getting better and better work, that's when I started working at the Berman studio, where I was exposed to a lot more professional techniques and bigger jobs, and eventually I was sent out on a show by Tom Berman to run the set on a little film on location, and that film was called Space Hunter. That film alone is what really gave me the experience of running a show, running a set, with the support of a lab back home that was producing the prosthetics, and all I had to do was get it done. And it was me, myself, and I doing, maybe 20 people a day, whether it was stuntmen or character actors, or I had little people, in these kind of weird little makeups, and I had local people, and we filmed in Moab, Utah, and I was supposed to be on another planet, so we had local hires who were extras that I had to make all this diseased makeup on, and I had a little small room in a honey wagon. If you don't know what a honey wagon is, that's usually the little portable dressing rooms where the restrooms are located, and these little tiny rooms. They're about, maybe a 10-foot wide by 8-foot wide room, and I was one door in, one door out. Person would come in, they would just line up, and every morning I would do that, day after day after day, and that got my experience in being on set. So just to reiterate, what I talk about sometimes may be starting off at a lower level, but it is going to build up, and I may come back to that lower level on certain times to discuss certain subjects, because as you're learning, you'll find that you get a job, and then you may have to focus only on that job, and some of your learning may stop. So always be learning the whole time. At one point, I had a studio, went on location, came back, and then the phone call came that really gave me an opportunity to get in the union, work at NBC at a TV studio, and that really got me into the more professional area, where I could really see, what am I going to do with my life and my career? Am I just going to make monsters and cut people's heads off and do slasher makeups and burn makeups? Is that what I'm going to do? Or am I going to be a well-rounded makeup artist? Well, the smart thing to do is become a well-rounded makeup artist, because monsters and casualty makeup and makeup effects aren't on every show. You need to be able to do every facet of makeup. If you really want to be a well-rounded makeup artist, you need to learn to do straight and beauty makeup, corrective makeup, makeup that doesn't look like makeup, take the ugly off a few people, make them look more natural, do hair work. That was one of the first questions that was ever asked of me by pros when I would meet them. Hi, how you doing? Hey, what's your name? My name's Steve. Oh, you're a makeup artist, right? Oh, yeah. They go, how's your hair work? I go, what do you mean? How's your beard laying? Do you lay beards? How can you do? Do you know how to do, face pieces, hair pieces, and trim and dress them? Oh, so that big light went on right there. So I made sure that I learned that well. Now, working on a film like The Howling required a lot of hand laying of hair on masks, so I got really good at doing that. Also, I did a lot of display stuff of my own. Werewolves, Mr. Hyde characters, anything that had hand laying or hand punching on a rubber mask was great practice, because you don't need a model for that. So if you have a rubber head around to practice laying beards on, that's a big plus. If you don't have a rubber head, get yourself a rubber mask, an inexpensive rubber mask, and practice laying hair on it. Clean it off, start it again. Find ways to do that. Don't try to lay hair on a styrofoam head, it doesn't work. But all those little elements will guide you along the way. Now, if you think that you don't want to be the person on set, you want to be the creative person working in the shop or the lab, then just focus on your lab skills. And there are a lot of makeup labs out there that bring people in when they get big jobs, and they need mold makers, sculptors, seamers, trimming pieces, prepping pieces. Sometimes it's doing a lot of crud work, sweeping floors, cleaning up after people. You work your way up. I know when I had a studio, a lot of guys came in and gave me a resume, and they all wanted to sculpt. They all want to be a sculptor. My first thing was say, well, are you a good mold maker? You know, and you go, yeah, I'm a really good mold maker, but you know, I really want to sculpt. I says, well, prove yourself as a mold maker, and you can prove yourself as a sculptor after that. Now, some people are only sculptors. Now, those are the ones who are going to impress someone with a huge portfolio, really great portfolio of sculptures. Also, take note of how long it takes you to sculpt something. So you can at least give the person that's maybe looking to hire you how long it'll, you know, if you're paid by the hour, you want to be able to produce quickly. So if you're a good sculptor, you know, don't be one of these guys who sculpts like this and that's all you go, you know, 2 miles an hour. You got to be able to block things out and work things out. And I think the beginning for most people is when they're sculpting, they try to detail too soon. Learn how to block things out, get the anatomy right. Then you move into the levels. You know, you block it out, you kind of get it where it is. You start raking it down with different tools. You start refining and refining and refining, and you don't do all those final details. Sometimes, especially if it's a prosthetic that's being cut up into pieces and transferred to different partials, that's when you get a lot of your detail done. You may block it out and get your kind of detail to where you're going when it's in its full stage, but if it's like an age makeup and you're going to cut it up and remove it and break it up, you'll save that final hard-ass detail to right when they're on the partials and ready to mold. So, you know, find out where your strong points are, cultivate the ones you're really good at, and then start working on the ones you're not so good at. So those will help you proceed into the business. So I hope all this has been not too long-winded and you got something out of it. But just remember, if you're planning on getting into this as a career, look down the line. If you choose to get into a makeup union and go that route, do it. Get the hours in and then retire with a pension. That way you'll at least be able to stay afloat in hard times. At least you have, you know, money coming in. You never know about Social Security if it's going to do anything. If you have a good IRA or a way to save your money or put it into something that's going to, you know, make you some interest, like investment, always think about that, because that's going to save your life someday. But when the phone stops ringing and you're not working much, or you don't feel like working much, or a pandemic comes along, just prepare, is all I can say. You know, if you're one of these people who just has a studio or wants to have your own studio and produce good work, and you get a lot of good jobs, make sure you set aside money for the future, because you will need it. You know, if you can purchase a home or something like that, do it as soon as you can. You know, as soon as I got a job at NBC, I knew I was going to be in the makeup union and I was going to be working X amount of hours a week and it was going to be a steady gig. I scraped together everything I could and bought my first little house. And I'm still in that little house. Only it's about 3 times the size of what it was, because over time I built onto it, built a studio in the back, and that helped me maintain my lifestyle and work all the way through my career. So I retired a little early, which is fine for me, because the pandemic hit right after I retired, and I was glad that I kind of got off the set when I did. I choose not to go back because of just wanting to have more family life now, and that's why I'm speaking to you, because this is my way of giving back to everyone who's out there who needs a hand up, or, you know, just needs to know some of the bumps and potholes along the way. So that's what that comment sign is for down below. So make sure that you ask questions, and I'll give you the best and most truthful answers that I can, and encouragement along the way. So thanks for tuning in today. This was a big old talking head video. One thing I think is kind of cool, I have a lot of life casts around my shop. Some are family, some are actors. But it's interesting, every life cast has a story behind it. So I'm going to start my little pulling out a life cast every once in a while and tell you the story behind that life cast. It may be about a family member. It may be about an actor. It may be about me. Who knows? But I think I'll try to make it as interesting as I can to let you know that, you know, what you do in this business over the years, everything makes a difference as to your ability to move forward to the next level. So retain all the skills you've learned along the way, put them in this toolbox up here so you can pull them out when it's time to solve a problem or a challenge. So we'll talk to you soon, and thanks for coming back to see us at the FaceMaker Factory.